And we are live on Oz Property Investors. We're bringing the big names, and it's Tassie, so it's going to be a lot of big fun tonight. The Apple Isle, I don't know if people actually call it that, but I do, so it's good enough. So huge session. We're going to talk about some of the suburbs that investors are considering, and is there still steam left in the Tassie market? That's what we've came here to discover and discuss, and so much more in terms of what's going on with Naaman, one of the experts around on the ground there in Tassie for 10 years. How's your day? What's going on, Naaman?
Yeah, very good. I'm actually currently sitting in my car in a car park out the front of the casino because we're in the local business awards. We're a finalist in the real estate category, so I've stepped out to do this, and yeah, I'm excited to talk things Tassie.
Yeah,
the background's not great, but you're fully loaded in a suit, so there's you've
up here.
Love
Joe,
it.
how you going?
Mate, I'm good. I'm fabulous. I'm really good. It is a really interesting time in the market, and I think Tasmania is one of these markets that keeps coming up. The yields are stronger. You can purchase at affordable prices down there, but is it a market that we should be investing in? Is this the place where we need to do it? So you've got to get boots on the ground, and since we have a group of 86,000 people, we probably can't have them all flying over. So maybe we'll bring the boots to you guys. That's what this is all about. How are you, Jeff, mate? Congrats on your marathon, or what was it called? The City of Surf.
Not even a half marathon, 14 kilometers. But no, it was fun. I was mostly pumped about the end of the thing where we did. Bondi was absolutely pumping. Good times, good vibes, all that good stuff. And I'm going to do a better time next time, but that's okay. It was good fun. I wasn't too sore. I didn't injure myself. So that's a priority. And Tasmania is absolutely the focus tonight. Before we get to that and introducing Naaman as well, I just want to say anything we talk about here is general nature, not taking into account your personal needs or objectives. Go and seek your financial advice, accounting advice, all that good stuff. And now that we've got that all that fun out of the way, I'm going to introduce the person in front of us. He's dressed up for the show. So you are the MD of this space with over 11 years. So I was going to say 10 plus years, but 11 years, Naaman Fraser, the managing investment properties and a large rental and also a little bit of sales as well. So you have on the ground insights in all different aspects. But I wanted to know, because we've only got you so if you have questions about Tassie, let us know and we'll answer as many or areas about Tassie as well, because drop those in the comments and we'll get to as many as we can. Naaman, when buying property in Tassie, what are the items people need to be mindful of? What should we be looking at when we're buying that?
Definitely the pocket. I know that's kind of general, but you want to make sure that the actual pocket itself and the surrounding properties are good. And also probably mold is a real hot topic. We're just sort of talking about that off camera, but it's really important to make sure that the property itself is well ventilated, has good heating, and is sort of not too prone to mold. It's not rampant, but it's here and there. And if you get a property that's got that issue, it can be really tricky to manage.
We just lost Joe. He sneezed and he's gone. So no, that's it. And the other interesting thing about yourselves is you're one of the few states that doesn't, as you said, have the cooling off period. So it's mindful, and there's also other intricacies about the transaction that happens. So could you take us through? Because typically, how do you sort of go about buying a property? Tell us about that process if you know a lot about it.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's a very hot market. There's a lot of activity. People are buying in Tassie for the right reasons. There's great yields and there's quite a low buy-in. So I think that the first and foremost is be prepared. Know that you're buying a good property. Speak to someone like myself that has experience in managing properties and knows the ins and outs of what's a good investment and why. No cooling off period, or no automatic cooling off period, so you don't get a chance to pull out. And you can't, really put offers on multiple properties at the same time because you risk buying 2 or 3. So you need to be careful with that.
Yeah, that's a massive one. I mean, people don't think about that. It's kind of like WA, right? You get a property, it's under contract, it's done. Pretty much, there's no pulling out under pest and building clauses. There's no pulling out under finance clauses. It's very challenging. Tasmania is a little bit interesting for the pest and building clause. How is that structured? Because it's definitely not structured the way that it is in Queensland and Victoria.
Yeah, we see a lot of that. So you have a defect limit. So essentially, if you elect a defect limit at the start of the contract, and that defect limit is usually a percentage of the purchase price or a nominal amount that you allocate. So generally, it's 15 to 20 grand. The way that I always explain it to investors is that what is the number that would make you pull out of the property? Choose that number. Obviously, if you're going too low, then it's a shaky contract and you might not get the property. If it's too high, then it doesn't do anything for you. So how it works is that you have your building inspection. Your building inspector comes through and says, hey, it's got some serious defects. You would then quite quickly get a quote, and usually you'd use me for that as well, to get a quote from a local builder or what have you, or whoever it might be, that's accredited to quote what it would cost to rectify that. And if it's above your defect limit, then you can essentially terminate your contract and withdraw your interest. But usually it's used as a negotiation tool, because the reality is that if a sales agent must disclose any material facts. So if a sales agent's aware of a defect, officially aware of a defect, right? It's definitely there. They have to then disclose that to any other buyers. So does the vendor, through the agent. So it's a really good negotiation tool if something pops up, but you still want to proceed with the property. And that's essentially how it works.
Yeah. And what is, I guess, like, okay, cool. You're getting under contract. We're in Tasmania. Actually, another thing that's interesting, little side quest is there's been changes recently with buyer's agents and real estate agents, where real estate agents will get in trouble if the buyer's agent isn't licensed to buy in that state. This is massive. So if you are using a buyer's agent and you're looking to buy and they're buying for you in Tasmania, there's a lot of cowboys out there. So just make sure that, are you licensed? Great. Give me the number because I want to check.
Correct.
What's the go with that, Naaman?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of communication and comms coming out of the REIT, the Real Estate Institute of Tasmania, who are our training body, and they're trying to crack down on it quite heavily. I imagine the Property Agents Board will come into it officially soon. My understanding is I actually was having this conversation with my head of sales this morning about a situation that we've got where the contract's getting a little bit shaky. And now she's questioning whether or not they're licensed, the buyer's agent. I think they are, but the advice has been don't deal with any buyer's agents unless they're licensed in Tasmania. And it's relatively easy. You just need to get your RPL, your retrospective prior learning, and you can get your license relatively easy. But my understanding is it's not actually legislated in the Act. There's no fine against it yet.
To be aware of as
very much so, yeah.
Person. Going back to that pest and building stuff, how should we think about because it's a percentage or a nominal amount? What's the typical percentage that is like? Because you're a real estate agent as well, right? You sell properties. Like, where do you feel comfortable when you've got a $600,000 purchase? Am I putting on 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%?
Yeah, it's usually 2%. It does differ property to property though. If you're buying a property that's a bit risky and you're a bit unsure, then you'd probably have it a little bit lower. And that's the thing. Like if it's a property where, and we have a lot of like historic, beautiful homes. You don't want to put $1.2 million into a property that's full of character and whatnot, and then find out that it needs underpinning, and it's going to cost a lot to do. Yeah, so it's generally 2% though, as a general rule of thumb, about 2%.
That's where agents will be comfortable.
2% of $1 million is 20,000. So I suppose that's a good chunk. And if it's more than that, then I suppose underpinning's probably going to cost hopefully more than that. I imagine
it would cost more than that anyway. We'll hit your thoughts. Oh, look, people are throwing out Suburbs, which is really, really good.
Ravenswood as well, Joe, your favorite area.
Ravenswood. I've never been to a place with so many burnout houses. I kid you not. There were seven burnt out houses in one suburb. I've never, ever. I've seen
one. It's going to be 100 houses. You said there was 5 a couple of weeks ago. Now it's 7.
It was 7.
was,
It was 7.
gee,
It
okay,
wasn't
8
5 last
next week.
time.
All right.
It'll be
He
12.
burnt 2 more out when he was there just to make the story better.
Okay, I love it. Okay, so yeah, let's go. So I want to know. You've talked about the issues you need to be considering mold. What are the other things before we get to the spicy about the areas in the suburbs? Because I think that's and the boots on the ground. Because you have immense experience in the Launceston. I feel like I said that wrong. And Devonport. I've said that right probably. What are the property management legislation items that people need to be aware of in Tassie? Do you guys have no cause eviction still? Like what's going on there?
Yeah, there's so much I could say, so I won't dive too deep, but there is a lot, and this is probably the most important part, to getting a property manager involved when you're buying a property, is understanding legislation and understanding what the framework in which you need to, operate in. There is no cause eviction, so we can still issue a notice to vacate for end of lease, without a reason, and that is what it is. Probably the major ones is, a rent increase is 60 days notice, it can't be more than 90. Notice to vacate is 42 days. Almost never get into a no fixed term lease. I have that conversation quite a lot. Don't let a lease lapse and continue on indefinitely, because there's a whole separate section of legislation that then comes into play, which can cause a lot of drama. So you got to be really careful of that. You can do 4 inspections a year, which is quite good. I think in comparison to Victoria, especially, and other states, we're quite good. We just had the pet legislation change very recently. So essentially, the long and the short of it is a tenant can get a pet or pets pretty much however they see fit, with the exception of a body corporate where there's a body corporate bylaws that state you can't get a pet. So there's a bit of a loophole. So where units are often not attractive, I think that's kind of made them a little bit more attractive, to a degree, because you can control the pet situation in them. You definitely can't in a standalone house in Tassie anymore. It's just a tenant can pretty much get whatever pet they like within reason. But that
Probably no goats.
Goats were the example. One of our trainers came in and said he has pet miniature goats, and they were considered a pet that would be approved. Yeah,
Interesting.
Okay.
Crazy.
You take goats. I mean, someone's got to mow the lawn, and it's not going to be me. It's going to be my goats.
Exactly. I'll get a goat.
So I want to say we talk about this a little bit. The perception about no population growth in Tassie, and I'm very interested once the census comes out in a couple of months to sort of see. I mean, that's not necessarily measuring population growth, but there's other aspects. But how do you feel about the local and noting you're not an economist? What are you sort of seeing and looking at in terms of industry and noting you're mostly Launceston based, and I'm butchering that, but population and industry, what's going on the ground that you're seeing?
We're definitely getting a lot of infrastructure growth. It's slow, but it's definitely happening, which is positive. And we're seeing that from the north, like Launceston, all the way through to Burnie, Devonport and Burnie. There's a lot happening. So there is a lot of investment that's going into different infrastructure improvements, which is good. I think it's getting a lot more growth over the last 5 years. I've been doing this for 12 years, and I'd say in the last 5 years, I've seen it grow and improve as an area more and more. I don't know about the job situation, if that's improving. My gut tells me that it's probably plateauing. I don't think it's really going up or down as far as more jobs. But what has happened and what we've seen since COVID is that you can work remotely. So, that's old news, but it's still very relevant to the fact that you can come and live in Tassie, you can pay a lot less, or, and maybe buy a couple of properties and still work your job from the mainland or wherever it might be. And still get that income. And you can just jump on a plane and it's 45 minutes to Melbourne, an hour and a half to Sydney anyway. So, yeah, as far as population goes, definitely seeing a lot more, we get sort of dubbed, Tassie gets dubbed as the retirement island a bit. And look, it's in my opinion, it's shifted quite a lot. We see a lot of young professional couples and a lot of uni students and things coming in. A lot of them, a lot of what I do is renting properties, and we rent everything from, high quality, sort of low to mid range properties, all the way through to we actually rented the most expensive rental in, it was on par with the most expensive rental in Tasmania that's ever been rented the other day. So all the way to the tippy top.
Wow.
And there's,
There you go.
and I'm having conversations with people more and more that are moving over. It's happening all the time.
Well, it's
So it's
interesting.
definitely attractive.
The population of Hobart is about 206,000 people. And then you've got the population of Launceston. So Launceston is the second largest city in Tasmania. That's got about 70,000 people. And then these are the three kind of major regions. And then the third is Devonport. And then you've got Burnie, which is teeny tiny. But
Teeny
Devonport
tiny,
has about 35,000 people. So it's not, the middle of nowhere and super tiny, but I guess the challenge is that if you are going smaller and smaller and looking at Burnie and Sorrel and it gets a bit.
If we're talking about Tasmania, Tasmania as a whole, always be careful with remote locations. You've got to be there's a fine line between what is remote and what is not, what is harder to get a tenant and keep a tenant, and what is quite easy. And it's 10 minutes apart, honestly. I talk about like Georgetown comes to mind, for instance. I personally don't think Georgetown is a very good place to invest, personally. Because it's so hard to get and retain tenants.
So to give people context, I'll just share my screen and open up the map of Tasmania to give you a bit of around the grounds. But here's Tasmania. They call it the Apple Isle because they make a lot of apples down there.
So it looks
by the way, it's not because it looks like, it doesn't look like an apple. What kind of apple is what kind of apple looks like this? Is a moldy.
Interestingly, Joe, can we just because Georgetown it is probably and now
it gets counted as a part of Launceston. So here's Launceston, right? Launceston is where the river and the ocean, well, the Tamar River meets this whatever this bloody river's called. I forgot what it's called. And then you go all the way up north, and then we've got this little place called Georgetown. It's crazy how far, how far away actually physically is it of a drive to get up to here, and what is actually here? Because I'm seeing a lot of people talk about Georgetown as an opportunity because the data actually doesn't look too bad. What's the go?
Joe, it's growing 27% in the last year. It's probably one of the highest growing percentage-wise in Australia.
Tell me, Naaman, am I silly not buying here?
Yeah, well, no. Look, on the ground, we struggle. Like we've got a bunch of properties that we are renting and have rented in Georgetown, and I've certainly had my fair share of the years. I think we currently manage about 23 in total in the area. And look, they go okay. Once they're rented, but they just take such a long time to rent, generally 4 to 5, 6 weeks, almost every time. And to get quality tenants, it's really challenging. There's just not a lot there.
Have a hospital up here and infrastructure, right? No.
I don't think they do have a hospital there.
No, they don't.
Got a casino somewhere.
They don't have a casino either.
They have nothing. They've got the biggest thing is goodness, it's skipping my mind.
Penguin tours.
No, well, for tourists maybe, but I can't think of it. Sorry, skip my mind. It'll come back to me in a second.
Seafood.
While you think about it, I want to know what do you actually think? Because there's a bit of a perception that yes, buyers, agents, investors. What is driving because we spoke about the truth about Tasmania. What is driving that? And we'll get to some of the micro. But what is it buyers, agent? Is it investors? Is it owner occupiers?
Let's hang on before, just because I think that this ties in nicely into this question, and then Naaman's going to expand on it more. But this is CoreLogic. This is a platform that I've created based on data from CoreLogic and Cotality. But having a look at these are the quartile percentages for market growth. What we're seeing is the top end of the market, 1 million to 10 million, take a 2.8% loss. and then $1 million to 1.3, and then 700, and then there's some growth in the bottom end. But then when you go to the state by state, like what's actually happening, you then have Tasmania and Northern Territory as the markets that are moving the most. New South Wales dropped, Victoria dropped, Queensland dropped, WA dropped. And then Tasmania's got 2.8% capital growth. Let's zoom in. At the low end, 2.5, 2.2. And then the top end there is struggling a bit. But interesting for Northern Territory, it's almost the reverse. But when you then look at the data from a $1 million and below, it then gets a little bit more interesting to see the lower end is where the value is, but it's the same in Tasmania. It's still moving. So what is that moving? How is it growing? What is actually driving the fundamentals? Is it just investors getting excited? Is it owner occupiers wanting to live here? Like I like the University of Tasmania and Launceston because it's like it brings these young people, but is there enough to keep the young people to actually live there and create jobs and stuff? Or they just, no, I'm doing my university degree and I'm getting the hell out of here?
Look, honestly, there's a lot of noise about the university, especially since it moved. I don't think that, like personally, I don't think it's made that much of a difference as far as like the investment side of things goes. I think a little bit. I think it's probably increased the capital growth a little bit. I think that's sort of the outcome of that, but it hasn't done a lot. It's only affected like Mowbray and Invermay and Newnham. Maybe Newnham's definitely kicked off.
Yeah. What about the macro of like Launceston, Devonport? Not the move of the universe. The move of the university from Mowbray to Invermay is it's not big news outside of outside of Launceston. What is driving that? Like that growth is real. It's there. Like what's driving that?
Yeah, I think going back to the fact that you can buy a property for a really great price here, you can get a good return, you can get, like you said, decent capital growth, and I think that capital growth will continue. I'm a big believer in the growth of just Tasmania as a whole, especially Launceston, and I think Devonport is sort of the next one to sort of get into. That's just my 2 bobs worth. That's it. You know, it's the fact that it's so close to the mainland anyway. You can still work remotely, so you can still have your income. You don't have to discount. You get a lot more bang for your buck. You know, you get a lot more land. You get a lot more of a property.
I mean, rents between 600 to 700 are up 9% in the past 12 months. So rental growth, is that what you're seeing on the ground? Are you seeing a rental growth situation happening?
We would have actually seen more of that inside our agency because we've sort of come into, and we opened the agency, I opened the agency 22 months ago, so just under 2 years. We're about to turn 2. And in that time, like I was saying, we've achieved the highest average rent in all of Launceston. And that is because we're innovative and because we've got really great processes. And I'm not saying that to toot our own horn. I'm saying that because there is, if you have a crack, as I would say, you can really get a great return. And that's continuing. So I would say that like what we've seen, what we've achieved for our investors is even more of an increase than what the average is. And I think that will continue.
There you go. That's what we want to see. So I want to understand, because we'll go sort of, I'd love to go macro and sort of, if you give us a bit of and we'll probably throw out our first sponsor first, and then I want to hear, okay, great, because people have popped a whole bunch of suburbs, so we'll talk to that. Launceston is very popular by the looks of it as well, Newnham. But we'll sort of talk about, okay, great, what is typically going on in around sort of, I know you don't focus a whole lot on Hobart, but you definitely got an insight there for sure. Hobart,
well, this is affordable houses are non-existent in the Hobart area. It's getting
Battery Point is probably not that affordable, but yeah, I mean, if you're coming from Sydney with $3 million, you
can buy 10 of them.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But yeah, I want to around the grounds, and then sort of I want to understand the spots where investors should be considering versus maybe be a little bit cautious, and that'll overlap some of the suburbs. So let's throw to our first sponsor.
Let's do it.
They said a savior would come, one who could see value where others saw fear, a buyer's agent who could turn data into destiny. Behold, Joe Tucker, an award-winning buyer's agent of Property Principal.
Whoa, what is this? Next thing you're going to see is driving off in our Lamborghinis, throwing cash about. You guys know Jeff and I, we don't really like to roll that way, right? We've been running this group for 5 years. We've been sharing all the data, all the strategies, all the tools, all the tips, all of the tricks that work in today's market to secure the best deals. But here's the thing though, if you're putting a part-time effort into something, you're going to get to a part-time result. And that's no difference with property, right? If you're dropping $500,000 to $1 million on property, this whole she'll be right attitude gets pretty expensive. What is the hardest part about building a portfolio? It really just comes down to time, knowledge, and execution. So if you don't have the time, you don't know what the heck you're doing, and you're afraid you're going to mess it up, then don't do it. That's literally why I do what I do. Most people don't even realize this, but I'm actually a buyer's agent. I run Property Principal's buyer's agency, and we have helped hundreds of investors get the right properties in the right locations so that they can scale their portfolio to $150,000 of passive income or more. Because why? Because we follow some core principles. We use a lot of data to pick the right locations. Think about it, the hot spots before there's ever heat. We get boots on the ground in every single location that we buy. And I have been there, checked it out, and approved the area. And we only buy in areas, and we only buy properties that we would want in our own portfolios. And that's how, in 2024, last year, we got a 21% growth across all of our client purchases, when the national average was 4.7%. For instance, Matt and Tina, a young couple, they bought 3 properties with us. They've built over $768,000 worth of equity, and they're still working full time. No dream selling here, but I tell you what, they're going to have a killer retirement. Phil, he's a young kid. He's just bought his first property with us. He's now on to his third, which is super exciting. He bought the first one, $595,000. That is now worth $770,000. He did a great little renovation up front. It's now grown $175,000. That's nearly 30% growth in under a year and a half. So it does take a little bit of time. Gosh, it does get there. Yes, we've had some big wins, but it's not an overnight get-rich-quick scheme. This whole property game is about smart, strategic decisions done well and taking the action. So I'm not here to sell you the dreams, but if you're ready, book in a discovery call. We can chat about what your next move is and if we can actually help. Let's do it.
And we are back. So I want to know, I know, yeah, like I imagine you've visited it probably many times as a growing up, probably, and all that. Hobart, take us around, give us the lay in about probably 30 seconds or a minute. What we know about Bridgewater and all that sort of up to the northeast.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Hobart?
Yeah.
Look, Hobart's beautiful. I think that it's the place to live if you're an owner-occupier. I think it's definitely up there with if you want to live in a really beautiful place. It's a little bit busier than Launceston. Yeah, obviously the population numbers show that. And I think the census will come out. That gap will reduce a little bit. That's what my gut says, but we'll see. I might be proven wrong, but look, it's a beautiful area. You know, it's a little bit colder. But they have the water on their doorstep, so they have that over us, and they're the capital. So you pay for it, but it's a nice place to live. Absolutely. All my family live in Margate, across Margate and in Hobart. So beautiful area.
Salamanca markets, it's plenty of stuff going. You get those pies.
Margate's like nowhere near. Yeah. Like it's like a 20-minute drive.
What do you mean?
I lived in.
Margate.
I lived in Hobart. I lived in Tasmania for like 7 years of my life, actually. So I've got some insights into the Tassie market. Go on.
And
Margate
we live next to an apple orchard.
It basically is.
Done
So
well.
take us up to Launceston. So what are the sort of pockets around Launce? Take us around the grounds like Kings Meadows, and I don't know, maybe you don't consider that Launceston, but yeah.
Actually, this is the reason I wanted to get Naaman on, because but everyone talks about data, and I went to Naaman and I'm like, hey man, there's a lot of data here, and these areas look really good and these areas look really bad from a data perspective. And you just kind of flipped it on its ear and converted things from like, well, what is the on the ground reality versus what the spreadsheet was saying? So that's kind of what I'm interested to kind of unpack, because some areas are like, oh wow, there's no way you should buy here from a data perspective. It just doesn't stack up. And
Yeah.
give us around the grounds if you can.
Yeah. Look, you're dead right, and I have this conversation all the time. You've got to have a conversation with a property manager on the ground. Look, I won't sort of go through every suburb, but you've got sort of I always rate them A, B, C, D. So that's sort of, and typically, naturally, your D class are going to get your higher return, but they're higher risk. Just for what it's worth, as an agency, we don't do any D class suburbs at all. We just don't do them. That's not to say that they're. I always say if you can, if that's all you can get, like if that's all you can get into because your budget doesn't allow for anything more, then just buy smart in those areas and make the return and buy another one, right? It's you just get into the market. It's not timing the market, it's time in the market, right? So get whatever you can. But yeah, you've got some. I think Kings Meadows, like you mentioned, is a really good area. Very undervalued for what it is, in my opinion. South Launceston is still that's an A-class suburb. It's very close to the hospital. It's got a lot of older homes, so I think that scares people away. And I'm pretty sure it has a higher, and I hear this all the time, it's got a bit of a higher public housing percentage. And that scares people away. But it's ridiculous. I hear this all the time. And honestly...
So here, I mean, if you have a look, South Launceston has 9%. It's in red, 9%, 8.3%. There's this little pocket here, which you probably can't see on your computer, but it's in like Kinburn Street, Howell Street, Hamilton Street, but 18%, from a data perspective, that doesn't look very good.
So they're the opportunities, right? And this is the thing. This is it, because everyone else is going to look at that and say, I'm not going to buy there. But I can guarantee you that if you buy there, you'll get a great rent, you'll get solid tenants long term, and you'll get a great home with a decent block. So a lot of it is flat. Almost all of it is flat. It's close to the hospital, and the buy-in is quite good. The only thing that you need to, it's just a bit, the homes are a little bit older. So you've just got to think, about that a bit.
Someone's jumped in the comments here. Iron Jaw 67. Is there any area examples where one side of the street is awesome, but the other side is average?
I mean, yes, but to be honest, if the other side of the street is average, it's probably not worth buying in that street. It's going to cause issues. That's my general opinion. What I would do for a client, and I do this all the time, and this is the beauty of being a smaller area, is that I can go and drive there and have a look. And I'll visually go, right, chances are I know the street, chances are I know the property by this point, but I'll drive by and have a look at what's nearby and what the area looks like. And that answers the question,
So one of the areas that is interesting where the new university has moved is an area called Invermay. Now, there are pockets of Invermay that have a 30% housing commission. And then there's 13 here, 9 here. What are your views on Invermay? And for people, it's interesting to look at these maps. Like when you do go and do this, research yourself, is to look at the map like this. Then also look at the actual demographic of the actual satellite view, because you'll actually then see that the pockets that have high housing commission is not necessarily because they've got high housing commission. It's because they don't have enough houses because it's all industrial. It kind of like throws your data out, because proportionally, there's like 10 buildings in there, 20, 30 buildings. And if 10 of those are housing commission, on this side of the street, it would be 5%, but on this side of the street, it's 30, which is interesting. Yeah. But what are your thoughts on Invermay?
Invermay is a really good one to talk about, because it has a lot going for it, and then it has a lot not going for it. So that is one of the suburbs where some pockets in Invermay you won't touch, other pockets you definitely touch. So it is very touch and go. So if you look at like the industrial side, just on the map, so you'd be more sort of to the left of that map, the sort of industrial side, you've got like Gledo Street, you've got Dry Street, you've got Herbert Street there, up the back. I'm trying to think of the street.
Main.
What is it? Main Street's there. Invermay Road, some of Invermay Road, Landale Street. So that's a lot of that area is not great. And then on the sort of right-hand side, which is closer to the university, some of that is quite good. Some of it is not very good. The thing about Invermay is that it's built on a swamp. So this is what all the locals know it. It's built on a swamp. It flooded once, and it hasn't flooded for 100 years before. A lot of it is in the flood zone, but some of it got lifted recently. So, I suppose they're the things to be cautious of. So it is very like case by case in Invermay. There's a lot of older homes. There's a lot of movement. You've got to be super careful. You can get a really good deal. You can get into a lot of trouble. So you got to be careful. But it's flat. It's super close to the city. And you can get a really good property for a good price. Yeah.
It's always check your flood zones anyway. But also, I don't think all platforms have the correct flood zones as well. So there is a platform. So here you can see that based on this flood zone map, it's just around the water. But if you actually go onto list maps, which is on List Maps Tasmania, it's like the council one for Tasmania. So a great resource for anybody. You can then dig in and you'll actually see that more of this pocket over here on the west is actually under a flood zone, a little bit here where the university is as well. So you just need to be careful. So that's interesting. So you really like South Launceston as a great area. One of the other things I think is worthwhile mentioning is the now it's not mine. This is your bloody segment, so apologies. I'm jumping in.
We should probably talk about what about Devonport, because people saying Hobart, like there's other So what are your thoughts on Devonport, Naaman?
Well, hang on, just before we hit Devonport, where are the no-go areas of Launceston? Where should we be really? Because I see a lot of people getting really excited about the area Ravenswood, and I found 7 burnout houses there. I'm very concerned about that area and not somewhere where I would buy. But where are we not buying as an investor? Where are your D-class suburbs?
Yeah, look, and on the caveat that you can get some good little investments in these areas. So don't write them off completely, but it'd be Mayfield, Rochalee, Ravenswood, and Waverley kind of sits just below that. So they're probably the major ones that are troublesome. They've got a sort of a lower socioeconomical demographic, and they can have some troubles. Typically higher yields, higher risk. Look, I own a property in Ravenswood. I've got nothing against it myself for what it's worth. That can be a really good vehicle to sort of get you to the next thing, but you got to be super careful. Yeah,
that's good. That's good insight. Case by case, a lot of housing commission, a lot of the challenge is there's no reason why you would go over to those areas. But so we're now jumping in our car. We're driving about an hour's west of Launceston, so it's not too far away. And the funny thing is, Launceston to Hobart is like what, 4 hours or something? Like it's not a massive
2.5.
difference. 2.5 is it? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
So then we go an hour up. We're going to get into Devonport, which is the third largest city. This is where the spirit of Tasmania is. What should we know about Devonport?
Yeah, we just opened an office in Devonport, so truth be told, I'm very biased. But no one in property management in Devonport, in my opinion, is really doing what we're doing, and pulling out the best returns for investors. That's the big thing, and I think that it's a very untapped resource. It's a different market. It's a smaller community. It's very tight, but you can get a really good property. Like a good example is, and should be happy for me to say, but property we manage at 34 Greenway, I think off the top of my head, they paid low 5s for it. It'd be worth high 6s now. I think we rent it for about 580. We've got some really great tenants. So I think off the top of my head, the yield is about 5.2, 5. It's had some really great capital growth. It's a really flat, nice block, and there's so many opportunities like that you can get. Yeah, especially I'm plugging us in a bit, and apologies, but especially because now we're sort of bringing this innovative way of renting to people, right? It's really efficient and gets the highest price.
So that was sold in. This is the correct one, right?
Is it 34
34
Greenway?
Green.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yep.
So this was
Yep.
sold in April last year for $535,000 with a
Yep.
$490 a week rent times by 52 divided by 535. That's a 4.7% yield right out the gates.
Yeah, I think the rent is quite a bit more now from memory, but I don't know. I haven't got it in front of me, but I think it's like 520, 530 now.
But it's grown 100K, like over 120K. It's now valued at $651,000. And it's a 3-bed, 1 bath.
Yeah, solid house. It's brick. It's a great house,
Disgusting.
And so here's the opportunity, right? Every agent, and this is why it comes to mind. We've got 350 properties under management, and this one comes to mind when I think of this stuff. Every agency in Devonport that they spoke to, and there's about 2 or 3 they spoke to, said that it was worth about $420 a week, right? And it wasn't really a great area. So that was the feedback from the locals. They just so happened to be referred to me by a buyer's agent. I ended up having a conversation with them. And I think it was the very first property we did in Devonport. I remember I was super interested to see how our approach will get, what outcome it will get. And we had like 33 or 34 applications in 2 days, and we had it rented in like 4. And it was at that $490 originally. It's now gone up a bit. But they were just like blown away because every agent locally was saying $420. And we got great tenants. They're lovely people, really good family, long-term, solid investment. That opportunity is still there. And I think it will continue to grow. You've got that spirit that comes in as well. So people do come in and come through a bit.
Spirit.
Yeah. And there's
Tasmania.
more.
I thought you meant like team spirit.
Sorry.
And I was like, oh, wow, we're really getting ethereal here.
The spirit of Tasmania. Yeah.
Gotcha.
The other way of getting into Tassie if you're afraid of flying.
So what about around the grounds of Devonport though? Like which are the areas that we want to be? What are the areas where there's some potential gems in terms of suburbs? That's what, because
look, like I think East Devonport, Ambleside is growing quite a lot. Devonport itself, just honestly, I think Devonport and the greater region as a whole is opportunistic at the moment. That's just my takeaway.
Well, the other thing is it is only 30,000 people, and there's not that many suburbs. There's Devonport, East Devonport. How do you say this bloody word? Meningitis. What's it called? Menindata? Words?
Mine data.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'll let you try for a little bit, but
yeah. So there's not that. It's not that too. There's not that much. So where are the opportunities? Sorry, East Devonport.
East Devonport, yeah. There's some really good opportunities in East Devonport. Ambleside. But yeah, I just think Devonport as a whole. I think as a whole, there's some pockets that you avoid, which is again that sort of high housing thing. But but again, get a property manager to go and check it out because there's some real opportunities. What's the demographic
there? Like you know, we were saying, Tasmania's full of old people. What's the actual demographic for Devonport? Who is knocking on your door saying, "Hey, Naaman, I need a rental"? Who are they?
Look, it's a bit of a mix. A lot of them are sort of people, retirees and things, which you get a little bit lower return because of the affordability for the most part, but you get really good solid tenants long term. It's a really steady thing, and you're probably going more for a capital growth play anyway. That's where the next property comes from. But you do get some people that, and it's sad to say, but the reality is it's just unaffordable in Launceston and it's not that far away. You can go and get a really nice, like you look at that one, originally it was $490 a week. $490 for it's actually a 3 to 4 bedroom house. It's got it's not an official bedroom, but it's a big house. It's flat. It's nice. It's got a garage. It's really warm. And for that price, it's a steal. And it's not that far from Launceston. So I think there's quite a bit of that as well. People just thinking, you know what, I'll go to Devonport, save a bunch of money and travel.
Actually, no, the other opportunity that I want to speak to you about was renovations. Is this a place that we should be doing renovations? One of the insights that you shared, you were talking about you'll get more rent for a 2-bedroom that's renovated than a 4-bedroom that's unrenovated. I've not seen that anywhere else. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, this is a massive topic I get excited about because there's so much opportunity in buying a property and then putting some money into renovating it, because exactly what you just said, you will get such a better return, and you get so much more interest on the rental market for a renovated or a flashy home. It doesn't have to be high spec though. It doesn't have to. You're not renovating it to live in forever, but if you just renovate it so that it's nice enough, generally you spend between sort of 10 and 30,000. You will get such a better return in comparison to a bigger house that's, let's say, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, that's neat and clean and tidy, but it's functional, but it's not renovated, and it's not flashy. Hasn't got the new paint, hasn't got the new carpets, hasn't got the new blinds, hasn't got the new kitchen. Everyone just typically turns their nose up at that. And I said that a lot, because if you go and buy something, let's just do the numbers, right? If you buy something for 690,000, it's a 4-bed, 2-bath, that's pretty dated in whatever location, and then you buy something else for 550. I'm just going to make that up. They're both pretty average. One's a 3-bed, 1-bath. One is a 4-bed, 2-bath. If you spend, let's say, 30 grand on the 550 and make it flashy, you probably rent that for about 620, 630. I don't have a calculator in front of me to do the numbers, but if you look at those two on paper, you're much better off with the other one. And not only have you got higher rent, higher yield, but you've also created that equity. So your 30 grand probably turns into 60 or 70 straight away with equity, right? So it's a really good way of looking at it. And I think that's where you can get a really good opportunity, because there's less buyers for a property that isn't renovated as well. So there's opportunity there. Yeah, and we see that all the time. You don't have to go the biggest property.
Well, one of the challenges is trade cost in over in the mainland. Is that a big thing over in Tassie? Are trades more expensive? How should we think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really lucky. So we've put a lot of thought into this as an agency. We've got this builder. His name's Jason, and he's basically part of our agency now. We've got other ones. We've got about 4 or 5 other ones that we branch out to, of course, as well. But yeah, it is. To answer your question, it's really hard to get a good tradesperson to do a good job for a reasonable price. But if you can lock that in, probably while you're buying the property, then it's game changer. And you can still get it done. Like Jason will do a renovation between 10 and 30 grand. Find out what it's going to cost. The reason that we can do that is because of the volume that we do, and the loyalty that we have with him. So with his company.
Yeah, I think that this is actually like one of the challenges. So we used to talk a lot about renovations, didn't we, Jeff, back in the day? And you would make a return on it, and it would be much easier. But now with trades costs getting so expensive, it really is the trade cost is the thing. If you can reduce that, then the rest of it's just your profit. That extra 20, 30 grand is more profit. What are you interested in, Jeff? Where are we taking this?
Well, we got to wrap it soon, because we're almost at an hour, Joe. We promised Naaman to get out of here. That's why. So
I mean, your questions, people, because you haven't got long.
Keep it coming. That's all right.
Yeah. But people disputing Georgetown is not as bad as stated. I mean, it's not so much about it whether it's being stated or not. It's about, I mean, seeing good capital growth. At the same time, it is a little bit outside of the main. And having been to Tassie, and Naaman is the man on the ground there in Launceston, so
I just think your money's better spent elsewhere. I'm not against Georgetown. Again, there's opportunities, but I just personally feel like you could put your money better elsewhere for growth in the next 5 to 10 years, and probably have a less stressful journey. Yeah.
The population of Georgetown is 7,000 residents, which is, but I mean, that's massive. Look at the jump up, 4,500 in 2021 to now 7,400 in 2025. That's huge. That is a big jump, massive jump. I'm excited to see what as Jeff said. But we got questions. Let's hit some of these questions, Jeff.
We have to talk about Newnham. I mean, we have spoken about it a little bit anyway, but we'll talk about that.
Newnham's gone crazy. Newnham is crazy, and Underdog.
Oh, okay. Well, before we do that, we'll jump into our last post, and then we'll make it happen.
Oh, Jeff, I wish there was 3 investing books that covered everything property. Oh, Joe, there is. Steve has 3 books now.
That I do, guys. I've got 3 books now. You probably don't even have to follow this group anymore. Just kidding. You want to keep seeing and hearing from me, of course, so stay involved. But in all seriousness, if you want to get the full picture of investing, residential, commercial, and development, these 3 books have you covered for the fundamentals. For OzProp members, here's the best part. I'm giving these books to you for free. Just cover the postage and I'll send them right to your door. Go to paliseproperty.com or click the link below and get your copies today. You can also get all my spreadsheets, checklists, and resources free on my website. Happy reading, gang.
And we're back. There's a quick one. So Newnham, give us.
Yes.
People have asked about it a lot. What are your thoughts? What do we need? You love it, but what?
Yeah.
Newnham.
What is,
Why is it good?
Newnham's great.
Because
Newnham.
again, you look at the data of Newnham, mate, it's not looking crash hot. We got 9% housing commission, 34% rent. Actually, it looks pretty good, actually, 34%.
That's what
That's
not too bad, yeah.
Yeah.
It's taken off. It's a bit of an underdog. Yeah. So Newnham for the best part of the last 10 years has been the dead middle, right? It has just been like 5 out of 10, so to speak. That's for the last 10 years. It's picked up in a major way. And it's just gone crazy. So it's got a lot of reason to do that because it's nice and flat for the most part. It's got some good views in some locations. It's pretty close to town. It's obviously close to the uni. There's a lot of reasons to be there, but it's just gone crazy. People love it. Yeah, we're getting a lot of investment investing into Newnham. We're getting a lot of investors buying property in Newnham. It's definitely a bit of a hot spot. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. I don't. I think. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have an answer for you.
Is it nice?
Joe.
Like, is it all right?
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I think it's a bit. I would call it, and the result of perceptions more than anything. I think people just went, Newnham's a great place. The data probably said to buy there. I think it definitely did say to buy there. And so people just jumped in and dived in and did it. So, yeah, it's happening a lot. I think there's some better areas. Like not that Newnham's a bad area at all. It's a great place to have an investment. But I think there are other really strong competitors that are being missed out. Do you know what I mean? Like South Launceston, for instance, Youngtown,
Okay.
Kings Meadows. Yeah.
I don't think people are missing Kings Meadows though, Naaman. It's I mean, I don't know if you've seen much being bought there, but it's definitely, if you look at what Kings Meadows done from a capital growth perspective, it's done pretty well.
Oh, I mean, over the past 12 months. I mean, this is the interesting thing. Like, I mean, actually, South Launceston has had some of the biggest. It's gone up 25% in the past 12 months, which is absolutely ridiculous. Kings Meadow has only grown 14%. So it's kind of like,
how dare it only grow 14?
Only 4. Yeah.
Only. Imagine that every year on year. That'd be good.
Yeah.
What's Youngtown? Out of curiosity.
Youngtown.
Just south of Kings Meadows.
2.4. It's 13.9%. 2.4 in the past quarter. So Launceston is all green. Every single suburb in Launceston has grown in the past 12 months. But this is what I'm finding interesting is, like, we're talking about the value of, these not spots, right? Like the Mowbrays and the Ravenswoods, and then they are outperforming. But this is where the data deceives, right? Like 24% value change. You're happy there if you got a half decent property, but the problem is, I guess this is the problem with your brief as well. Like if your brief is get in there, get into a hot spot, hold it, and then sell it in 2 or 3 years, then it might actually be not a bad place for you. But if your goal is long-term capital growth and holding it through a number of cycles to get that, take full advantage of this short-term median growth, and then hold it for the long term, then this might not be the place for you, because that demographic and affordability is going to hit a ceiling real quick, especially when the place is pretty much 50% housing commission and then 7% burnt down houses.
Ravenswood.
Flamenswood.
How do you then sort of say, because that is an objection that some people say, like
Yep.
over the last 10 years in Tassie, it has grown
Yep.
probably 150, maybe 200% in some places. Is it
Yeah.
still like, why are we still seeing capital growth? Is it what's driving these markets? And can we still see a little bit more? Or is it just going to have to plateau? Probably.
Bang for buck, decent yields. The numbers talk. That's the numbers.
Yeah.
The numbers talk. That's why I think.
What are your
Devonport,
thoughts on that, Jeff?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. Do you want what kind of thought? What do you want? I think if you're buying for beyond 3 to 5 years, I think you need to manage your expectations. And I'm happy to sort of.
Answer.
What was that? Sorry.
Very political answer. Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, because I mean, it can't, like, you're seeing 20%, like 20% on 600,000.
That's crazy.
That goes to 750, and then it goes, if it does it again. So I think depends on as Joe says, the brief. What I love about Naaman is you're not simply about, you can, I suppose there's multiple strategies. So this is kind of where speaking to that person on the ground, understanding, well, okay, great. Even if there isn't the potential capital, even if it doesn't continue to grow 20%, which it probably won't, what are my other sort of options? And that's, what are those sort of more interesting things you're seeing investors do as well, Naaman?
Granny flats.
Really?
Granny
You're seeing that pop up?
Yeah. I'm opening a can of worms, but yeah, I saw one recently. Good example in Kings Meadows, and I turned up after the fact, so I didn't see it all come to fruition. But I saw someone buy a house in, I'm going to say, Bladen Street, and very, very residential, area. And basically, I think the block was about 850. Don't quote me.
Oh, wow.
I can't even remember the address.
Square meters,
Yes, yep, 50. So 850 square meters. Pretty narrow driveway. Long story short, they craned in a tiny home, which is essentially a granny flat. They now rent that for $350 a week, and they rent the house for $560 a week. So that's about 900 and whatever it is. Was it 930 or something a week? And I think all in all, it's cost him about $690. Like that's it. So he bought the house quite a while ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So he obviously made his thing. I just never thought it would be possible to crane in, and the council wouldn't let you crane in a tiny home into a backyard of a highly residential built up area, but they did. It cost him about $250,000, $250,000 to do that. That's purchasing the tiny home, craning it in. He showed me the videos of this thing getting craned in, and it's crazy. We manage them both, and it's a great return. I think it's like 11%, 12%.
The point that I just want to, you said $250,000. Most of that was not the building getting built. It was actually $100,000 applications.
$100,000 was that, exactly.
Yeah, so that's massive. $100,000 for council contributions, and so if you are looking at development in Tasmania, be very cautious and look into the council rules and regulations, and then make sure that's factored into your due diligence. But because he got such a cheap granny flat, $250,000 for like, it's not. I've seen it. It's not the creme de la creme, but it's like it gets $350. It works. It does its thing that it needs to do.
And to give you the quick specs, it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom container home. It looks quite nice, Yeah. Interestingly, he's got a deck at the front, which is council approved, and he's going to fill that in to make it like an outdoor dining area. Off the record. I don't know if he's allowed to do that. I haven't said the address.
You just said it. Oh, so anyway, that's all right. Interesting. I think I'm seeing and hearing glamping. Are you particularly in and around Launceston? Launceston.
Yeah.
There's plenty of sort of larger properties. Yeah.
This is a bit off topic, and apologies. I'll be quick on it. I saw a house the other day, and it blew me away. I've never seen anything like it. It's in Norwood, and it's a big, beautiful house. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. In the front yard, it has a swimming pool, right? This is Norwood, so again, a really residential, beautiful area. But it's like 500 meters from a school, and they put a sauna in. They made the front yard really nice. They heightened the fences a bit, made it pretty, and then they sectioned off that section of the house that kind of feeds into, like, that flows under the pool. And now they run like a little wellness retreat that you hire for like an hour and a half with your friends to do your sauna, your cold plunge, and a relaxation session in the little room. He showed me the calendar, booked out for months in advance, and he's charging like $60 a session, and he has 5 sessions a day.
Wow.
Right, yeah.
Incredible.
There's lots of ways you can make money. Gotta get
Innovation.
creative. I know.
Yeah.
I thought it was very cool.
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
Mm.
Interesting. We'll throw to a couple of areas and then we'll let you get back to, you've got awards to win probably.
So,
He's
hopefully.
probably already won them. Well, this is a
well,
massive
you can
one
celebrate.
because there is a $2.1 billion AI factory coming to, and there was some rumors that it had been stopped under construction and there was a bit of issues and things with it. I recently went there and it is very much under construction. What are your thoughts on St. Leonards and the AI factory?
St. Leonards is great. I think that it's another really good opportunity there. Really good sized blocks again, and good views as well from a lot
Beautiful
of it.
views of the city.
Nice and close to Launceston. Great place to buy. Absolutely. I think there's some real opportunity there.
What are the price range? What should we expect there?
Around mid sixes, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Sort of 640, 650. Again, sort of depends. I would try to buy something with a decent block that needs a bit of work. Spend your 10, 15 sprucing it up. Probably get it for 610. And have something really good. I'm pretty sure we rent a really flash house to one of the people that are running or a big part, at least, of that data center, which is quite cool.
What are your thoughts of that? Like, is that going to drive a shitload of jobs and money? Is it a nothing?
I think so. I mean, I think I don't know how many jobs it'll create, because I feel like if it's an AI center, they'll get AI to do most of it. But I don't know. I think it's a great thing, though. I think that to have that sort of innovation, put into Launceston is a great thing. Yeah.
Couple of last ones, and we'll finish. We'll get an opportunity to, because there is a good question from somebody. How does Evendale look? Because Evendale looks like there's not a lot of transactions going on there. But what do we see?
Evendale is very tightly held. It is its own little tiny ecosystem. It's absolutely gorgeous. People don't touch it. Like people don't transact there. People don't move. The amount of people, we would have 50 buyers to buy a property in Evendale every day of the week.
Wow.
They're all owner occupiers, or at least the vast majority are. People go there to retire and live in peace. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Solid.
I promise this is a bit left of field. I East Coast, so Coles Bay, Swansea. Yeah. I don't think it's more tourism up there, isn't there? Like, what do we sort of? Yeah.
You get an Airbnb, and get an Airbnb manager and call it a day and probably make some money. But I wouldn't be jumping to it to buy an investment there as a long-term rental. Personally, a beautiful area, but there's just nothing out there except for tourism, really.
So great during summer, and then just kind of vacant for 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, put it this way. I went on a holiday just like 3 weeks ago and spent the weekend in St Helens. That's what we do from Launceston. There's a lot of that. You pay the price, but you probably don't live there, or not really. Like not in great numbers. Yeah.
All right. Well, look, I want us to ask. This is Joe normally says, how do we get more of Naaman in their lives? And somebody asked, what's the new approach? You sort of left a bit of a breadcrumb about 15, 20 minutes ago. What's that new approach you guys are focusing on? You mentioned it.
What makes you so great, Naaman? Why are you so
thanks.
great?
In a nutshell, it's like my elevator pitch. It's innovation. So I haven't ever gone into like sales as a career, and what I've done is built a real estate agency that's property management first. We do sales as well, and we do some great stuff there, and I'm not taking away from that. But I invest very heavily into the property management side of things. So to answer the question, our leasing procedure is extremely user-friendly and efficient. So we use virtual tours on every listing. I've built an app, if you will. I know everyone's built a friggin' app now, but I've built an app that we use internally that we grab the photos from the photographer and the video, and then we put it through this app, and it does a lot of stuff that basically appeases the algorithms on realestate.com and Domain and Facebook and Instagram. That gets a hell of a lot more reach than most other agencies will get. With more reach, you get more people. And then the application process, obviously, so they will view the property virtually on a 3D virtual tour. Then they'll apply, and that removes the friction there, because they can see the property enough to feel confident to do an application. The application online is extremely user-friendly. It's very easy. and it's like a funnel. No matter where you find the listing, it goes right to the same place. And then after you've done that, the application, we've got a leasing manager who's incredible, and she just every day looks at applications, gets you through straight away, offers you a lease, you sign it digitally. And then we have digital locks on almost all of our rental properties as well, which means that that said person could go from seeing the property online to moving in within 3 hours if they wanted to, with the way that we do it. And the reality is a lot of the best tenants aren't worried about paying maybe $20 or $30 more. They just want to lock in the next chapter and move. They want simplicity. They want to move on to the next chapter. So I suppose that's the difference that we sort of deliver. And yeah, statistically, it works really well.
Love
there
it.
You go.
I think what that means to me as a property investor is just getting more rent and making, but not in a bad way where it's like you still have to look after your property. Like you don't deal with any D-class suburbs and look after your property, get a good tenant in there and keep them there. And it's just it can be as easy as that. But this is kind of my concern with Ravenswood and Rochdale is that the demographic shift is not happening as crazy as there. This has been an unreal session, mate.
Geographically, it should, but yeah, it hasn't yet. Maybe one day.
I smell opportunity, but yeah, we'll see if it's still opportunity by the time I get there.
You got to risk it for the biscuit. So look, I'm not saying don't buy in Ravenswood. You know,
it's a good way to finish off. Great.
Okay,
thanks, guys.
Let's go buy a property, guy. Thank you very much, Naaman, from this space. We'll make it happen.
Yeah,
catch you guys.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate your help.
Thanks so much.